Well, I'm out for a morning walk with the dog in this beautiful forest setting, so I thought it'd be a great time to talk to you about skill endurance and what it is and how we can start to go about achieving that. So skill endurance really, in its most simple form, is about finishing your activity or your event with the same quality of skills that you started it with. And you can see great examples of this all the time in sports people, particularly at an elite level, where you've got an elite marathon runner who crosses the finish line in a super fast time but looks like they could go out and do it all over again. You can see this in rock climbing, where they need to be keeping the same level of skills that they have at the start when they're finishing their climb, because otherwise it's a little bit dangerous. Now this is in stark contrast to a lot of us more recreational athletes, where really we put absolutely everything into it. We finish hunched over, we finish absolutely exhausted, and the level of our skills really isn't anywhere near what it was when we first started. That's largely because we don't train for that. We believe that all of our training, for a lot of us, is just about doing the main things that our sport are involved with. So for example, runners run. If you're a rock climber, you might do a majority of your training actually climbing. Cyclists cycle. Swimmers swim. But of course, the further you get along the journey to elite, which is kind of how I look at that continuum, then the more of those supporting skills you have to do, and you have to master them at a better level. And that's really what skill endurance is all about. Okay, so it's about looking at the different levels of my skill endurance model. So we have brain mapping, we have respiration, we have fueling, and then we have technique. And technique really is where we think we need to concentrate on most of the time, which is why we do all this work on the main part of our sport. But actually, technique is supported by the other things. And all the years that I've been coaching and teaching people how to run and to do other fitness type activities, it becomes really obvious that they can't maintain or even achieve sometimes in the first place that level of skill if they just concentrate only on that one activity. Okay, so if you want to have good running form, you've got to have elements of agility, balance, coordination, accuracy. You've got to be able to breathe well to help with your stability. So there are lots of these supporting skills that you have to have in order to form skill endurance. So why bother with all these supporting skills in the first place? Why not just do what most of us are told to do most of the time, which is just get stronger? Because let's face it, a phrase that I absolutely love is stronger people are harder to kill, or at least they're harder to get injured, or they recover better. And that's absolutely true, I think, in most cases. But it's about how we're going about getting that strength that's really important. And I'm sure either yourself or you know somebody who has a muscular imbalance, so they're stronger on one side of the body than the other. Traditional training would tell you, well, they just need to train longer and harder on that weaker side. So let's just say my left side is not as strong as my right side. So I would up my left side training. And sometimes that works, certainly in the short term. But often it doesn't work, and you can be left there wondering what else you can do. And the reason it doesn't work is that's just not how your brain is wired. The brain, it will respond to training. That's adaptation, and that's exactly where we want to go. But if you've got a weaker left side, that's being driven by some right side parts of your brain. So you need to train them as well. So actually what I find success with is quite often doing the reverse of what you think might be the solution, and that's to actually train 2/3 more on your right side to improve your left side training. That creates the environment for the brain to allow you to have an expression of strength on the left side, and then you can increase the training. And that's far more effective. Now, the other great thing about developing supporting skills and endurance in those skills is that they can make your movements far more efficient, far more fluid. And as an elite performer, that's what you want to have, because it's that particular element that separates you from everybody else. As a more recreational athlete, I still believe we want to do that, because we're always looking for either a faster way of doing something if we're that competitive, or we want it to feel a lot easier so that we can complete a longer event or a harder event. And that's what skill endurance is also all about, is how do you develop that level of fluidity, and you have to work with the way that your brain works in order to get that. And when I talk about fluidity, I talk about that coordination or that synchronization of movement across multiple joints. So if you want to, let's say run with a nice flowing running gait, you have to be a master at creating tension where it's needed, but also creating relaxation when it's needed. And relaxation is as much of a skill as creating tension is. Majority of the people that I work with are incredibly good at creating tension, particularly if they are doing what they've been taught to do, and that's to go out and do lots of strength work to support them. They're very, very good at creating that. But what they're not good at doing then is relaxing in the areas they need to be relaxing in order for them to use that tension in a way that's actually going to help them perform at a higher level. So there you have a very brief summation of what skill endurance is. It's been able to keep the same quality of skills at the end of your event that you had at the start, despite being fatigued, despite having put a lot of effort in there. It's often displayed through fluidity, grace of movement, elegance, that type of thing. And depending on where you are on that journey to elite, which you can find more information about on the website and Facebook page, is that the closer you get to being elite, the higher level of mastery that you need for all those supporting skills. Within those categories of the model, of brain mapping, of respiration, of fueling, and then of course of technique as well.